My name is Reno Omokri, and I'm at the Memorial Auditorium in Sacramento, California, where Edmund Jerry Brown is being sworn in as the 39th governor of California to take over from Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. While here, I will attend the ceremony and I'll be talking with Joe Trippi, Jerry Brown's campaign manager, who had just returned from a trip to Nigeria. With Joe Trippi in Sacramento, California, about an hour before the swearing-in of Edmund Jerry Brown as the 39th governor of California. Joe Trippi was his campaign manager. Joe has a long history with Governor Jerry Brown. He was also his campaign manager when he ran for State Attorney General. And Joe Trippi is a friend of Nigeria. He just returned from Nigeria, where he spoke at the book launch of Mr. President during the Bring Back the Book program. So Joe, you want to say a few words to the Nigerian audience?
I'm just very excited about what's happening in Nigeria. I think the Bring Back the Book effort by the President, good luck Jonathan, is a significant thing. I was there, and I said that I really believe that years from now, someone will become President of Nigeria, a young child today will become President of Nigeria because their parents took out a book and started reading to their child because of the president's effort. I also think that there is a teenager today who will be president of Nigeria someday because they interacted with the Facebook president, Jonathan, good luck Jonathan, on his Facebook page and found out that their leaders were listening and they could have an impact. So I think very excited about it. Reno, I've known him for quite a while. He was very instrumental in my thinking about the internet from back in the Dean for President days, and we have stayed in contact. And he's been a friend of mine here in the United States, and I've been a friend of Nigeria ever since we struck our friendship here. He's been on the set when I shot commercials for Jerry Brown back in the AG's race when I was doing. I'm the media guy. There's other guys who run all the nitty-gritty, but I was the guy who did the media for Jerry Brown. And anyway, we've had a great relationship, and I look forward to Nigeria's strengthening democracy, people getting involved, a president of Nigeria who actually understands and listening to people and empowering them is the future to make real change and to get the economy of Nigeria and the future of Nigeria moving.
Okay, awesome. And just before we go, because I know that you have to meet with the governor and some of his people before the inauguration. You've worked with Tony Blair as his campaign advisor. You've also worked with the great president, and then recently you've started to show some focus in Africa. I know that you were instrumental to the victory of Morgan Tsvangirai in Zimbabwe, and I know also that you've had dealings with President Zuma of South Africa. And what can you really say Nigeria should be doing right now to strengthen its democracy? Because you've seen democracy strengthen due in a large part to your efforts in Zimbabwe and now in South Africa. How can we strengthen democracy in Nigeria?
There weren't fair and clean elections in Zimbabwe. I mean, we won, but Tsvangirai said we didn't. Mugabe said we didn't win. I think Nigeria and the current president, good luck Jonathan, seems very determined to have a fair and clean election, to win election by the actual vote of the people, not cooked numbers or stuffed ballot boxes. I think that's instrumental. I think having a leader committed to that, win or lose, committed to that and citizens who become involved, participate in this election, and insist that it's a fair and free election. Is the way to a vibrant democracy that I think is strengthening in Nigeria. Again, it's both from the bottom of the people and the leaders, and I think the right combination is there now. They're going to be the same shenanigans. The opposition is going to try to disrupt things, but I think if the people insist that it's fair and free and clean, and a president who forces that and makes sure that he may even lose, but it's best to win or lose in a fair and free election. I think that's the future, and I think I'm really have been happy to have been involved in helping in any way I could to strengthen the democracy in Nigeria, because I think Nigeria is the heart of Africa. If it happens in Nigeria, and if Nigeria's democracy strengthens and people are participating and the country's getting stronger economically, that heartbeat of Nigeria starts to spread the democracy throughout the continent in a new and different way that empowers people to make a real difference.
Okay, you know what? I'm greedy. I'm so greedy. I said finally, but I mean, you just said going with the flow, and you know what? One more finally. Okay. Alright. So in Ivory Coast, also known as Côte d'Ivoire,
Sure,
there's been a situation whereby President Laurent Gbagbo has lost the election. Obviously, Alassane Ouattara has won the election, and Gbagbo wants to sit tight. Right now, there is a lot of efforts right here in the States, in Europe, and with the Nigerian government in conjunction with ECOWAS. I mean, if you were to sit in front of President Goodluck Jonathan, what advice would you give to him on how to resolve the situation in Ivory Coast?
I think he has to involve himself. I think it's important for other leaders in Africa to involve themselves and to say, this isn't going to work anymore. We can't do it this way anymore. We will isolate you. We'll participate in that. I think that was one of the big problems when Mugabe lost against Shanghai. Too many in the African leadership at the time still stood silent. No one was willing to say to Mugabe, it's time to go. You've had your turn. Those rules don't work on this continent anymore. And so I think it's time, to show some leadership. I know he's trying, but I think you've got to stay firm and live by new rules of fair and clean elections and live with results. It's very important for a ruling party to live with the results when they lose. That's the only time you really know you have a democracy. So things have got to change, and I hope that Nigeria exerts its leadership, becomes the strong beating heart of Africa and of new democracy and of empowered people throughout Nigeria and the continent.
That is awesome. But let me just say, with Mugabe, I believe the rest of Africa was actually waiting for then President Thabo Mbeki to take the cue,
yes.
Because the way it works, Zimbabwe was actually, or rather is actually, within the South African sphere of influence. Now, with the case of Ivory Coast, the whole of Africa is waiting for President Goodluck Jonathan to do what Thabo Mbeki was meant to do in the case of Zimbabwe. And to a large extent, President Jonathan has really, he has lived up to the billing. He's sent. I spoke with his special advisor, and I know that they sent people over to talk to Gbagbo, and they actually discussed sending troops, which is a last resort. And he's been touring various West African countries, even with the crisis in Nigeria. Obviously, you know that there was an unfortunate event, but I believe he's been doing his best.
Yeah.
But this has been Reno Omokri. I've been talking with Joe Trippi. He is an icon. He was recently on the Time magazine's board that chose the Person of the Year. He is one of those who actually voted for the young man, Mark Zuckerberg, to be Person of the Year. And his ad, The Echo, has been named as, what was it named as? I forgot.
The best political ad of 2010 in the United States.
You heard that. His ad, The Echo, was named as the best political ad of 2010. And let me just take this here. Meg Whitman, who ran against his candidate, Jerry Brown, spent $150 million in that election. She outspent Jerry Brown by about 20-1. That was the most expensive campaign in the history of the world since creation began. And this man actually pulled.
He won.
He won. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.